Hey, what's going on, guys? Cody Sperber, the Clever Investor here, and I got something super exciting for you lined up here today. I got a special guest in Clever Studios. Dan Fleyshman is in the house, and I really appreciate you spending the next few minutes with us because this guy is probably the most interesting entrepreneur I've ever met in my entire life. This guy is so super connected. I just had him speak at Clever Summit. The crowd was literally astonished by his conversation and what he did at the event. And we're going to talk a little bit about it here today. First off, Dan, welcome to Clever Investor Studios.
Thank you.
Glad to have you here. Now, when I say Dan's the most connected guy, he literally is the most connected guy I've ever met. And such an interesting entrepreneur. There's never been a moment that I've had a conversation with him where you didn't surprise me with the cool shit that you're doing with your life right now. So I just thought it would be fun to spend a few minutes and kind of peel back some of the layers. Because when I first saw you, I was like trying to read you, and I was like, what the hell happened here? Like this guy, like you came, at least on social, like you came out of nowhere to my world. And all of a sudden, I'm watching your stuff, and it's almost like I didn't see you coming, and then all of a sudden you took over. And
like a 20-year overnight success.
Yeah, but it was like when you took over, though, I started peeling back the layers, and I'm like, oh my God, you literally have your hands in everything that was going on Instagram. You're like behind all the big brands, all the big influencers. So let's talk about like your start real fast.
Sure.
You're from San Diego originally.
Yeah.
Where did you start?
Started in high school, working 3 jobs, saving up money to trademark the catchphrase, "Who's your daddy?" For 300 different products. By 18, we did $9.5 million revenue. By 22, we were preparing to go public on the stock market. 23, we went public. The next 4 years, I got us into 55,000 retail stores in America. I didn't sleep during those 4 years. And then on the 10-year anniversary, when I was 27, I resigned so I could put another feather in my cap to start an online poker site. Within 10 months, we're the 3rd biggest poker brand in the world. And then, boom, something called Black Friday happened, and online poker was shut down in America. So I paid back 41,000 people that day and became the good guy in the space because I was the only one that paid everybody back right away. And I realized I never want to have all my eggs in one basket ever again. So I became an angel investor. And I've invested in 34 companies since then. And I started a social media agency to help make sure my investments got famous and I could help their success rate. So social media agency is my main focus. We spend around $60 million a year for brands to post with influencers. And then we throw live events and charity events. That's my life in a nutshell.
In less than 2 minutes. Well, first off, youngest person to ever take a company public. That's like that was like an initial claim to fame. I can only imagine being young and going through that initial process. Probably a lot of people, like, to me.
I don't recommend it. It's 2 years and $2 million of legal fees and accounting fees to get public. It's a lot of work. From 21 to 23, we were like just living inside of lawyers and accountants' offices to prepare. But once you do, it's amazing because now you have liquidity. Now you've got thousands of people that are investors and shareholders. They're off preaching and telling your story off to everybody else and buying your product, and you're the best. You know, like when you're doing good. If you're doing
Would you ever take another company public?
I've been turning it down for a long time. I'm legitimately, like, in a week and a half, I'm going to New York because these investment bankers have been trying to get me to go public again for the last 10 months.
For which company?
For my company plus a CBD brand.
Okay.
Yeah.
You know,
We'll see. I don't know.
We were upstairs in my office, and he looks down and he goes, "Oh, U-Wheels." And you know those little, hoverboards that you stand on and scoot around on? He goes, "Oh, U-Wheels." And I said, "Yeah, I bought a couple of them." And he goes, "Oh, that's my company." I said, "What are you talking about?"
I talked about it at your event yesterday, so it was up on the screen.
Yeah, well, I was backstage, so I didn't see that. And he's like, "Yeah, that's my company." And I'm like, "Dude, what don't I know about
that
you?"
That specific brand was mine.
And you have something super cool. You
Drifters. They came out today. Like, we went live a few hours ago. It's like this. You can
it's literally a giant trike for adults that drifts.
Yeah.
It's like the coolest thing ever. I'm
so
definitely getting one. Yeah. All right. So talk about how you got your transitioning. So first off, who's your daddy?
It's such a random name. I don't know.
Did Everybody you just come up with that?
No, my partner back then used to say it on the football field and to girls and for fun. Like, people would react. Like whether you thought of it sexually, for comedy, or for sports, people just enjoyed the name. And so I decided to trademark it because nobody owned the trademark. And then we started selling T-shirts, and we were selling like 300 T-shirts. Well, 300 T-shirts times $15, that's $4,500. We were millionaires, like in high school. We were rich. So I realized that people cared. People liked what this was. So we went to a clothing convention, and the rest was history. Like everybody just wanted our brand. We wrote over $1 million in orders at our opening convention out of a little 20-foot booth, 17 years old, like not even legally allowed to sign contracts back then because you're 17. Like we were just like, people just loved the name.
So if you're watching this right now and you're like, my idea is stupid, he literally ran with Who's Your Daddy?
Yeah.
And that got him up off the ground.
Yeah.
All right, so how did you transition though into the working with influencers? Because you saw something very early on about the power of influencers and what they were going to be able to do for bigger brands and making sales online.
So what I care about is eyeballs and attention, and social media influencers and what's called generic accounts. So a generic account is like @fitness or @female, which is just a generic name that if somebody's following @beauty or @fitness, you know what they like, right? You know what category. Well, I figured if there's a beauty influencer or a fitness influencer, you knew their followers like beauty or fitness. And so the eyeballs were so inexpensive. Buying a TV ad or a radio ad or a magazine ad or a billboard, these are $20, $30, $40 CPMs, cost per 1,000 views. On social media, it's like $1 to $2. So it's not a little bit of a difference. If it was like 50% difference, we'd all love it. If it was 100% difference, we'd all go crazy. We're talking about like 1,000%, 2,000% difference. It's insanity.
Yeah.
And you can see it today. Like if I want to sell that T-shirt or those sunglasses or that watch, I could post about it right this second and have a screenshot with views, impressions, likes, traffic, comments. I know everything. I can give you a report tomorrow.
Yeah.
Tomorrow. Where with TV, radio, billboard, et cetera, I got to wait 30 to 90 days just to get it in. And then to get a report back, I need to wait another 30, 60 days. It's like, not to say not to do those things, it's just social media also. And so I realized at the beginning, if I can buy millions and millions of impressions for thousands of dollars, not hundreds of thousands, for thousands of dollars, I'm going to do that at scale.
Okay. How do I go and just get influencers on board for this? Because I'm envisioning somebody watching this day one. It's like I got this idea. How do I actually implement it? What was your thought process? Were you like, I'm just going to start hammering the phones, hitting up people up on DM? Like,
yeah, there's a little box, and it looks like a little mailbox. You just slide in that DM, and then you message them, and then they respond because they want to make money or get free products. All of them do.
But initially, to get it off the ground, was it you just testing messaging, seeing which one resonated with the influencers?
Well, it was much easier back then because I had no competition. Now they get bombarded with stuff, and so I start off with 4 words that's either about payment or their free product. So they know right when they see that DM. If I don't know them or they don't know my staff, for example, I start off in the very first few words so that when they're sliding through and they have so many different messages coming in, it says paid post for beauty product. Like they know what it is before they click open. Most of the time people write like, hey Cody Sperber, blah 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 blah.
I want to like,
and then you see hey Cody and you're like, it's just you get thousands of messages, you can't look. But if I wrote paid post for Cody, blah 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 blah.
It's actually brilliant. You know,
right?
It's like, where do I send your $300? Question mark.
Yeah, like a Nigerian prince.
Yeah.
And so what happens is we were just really, really focused on getting as many people we can paid or get products right away, and then they would go brag for us. So what happens is if I have Anna Cherie, a fitness influencer, post a fitness product, let's say she's posting First Form for Andy Frisella. Well, all the fitness influencers that follow her, they're also going to message her like, hey, how do I get a First Form deal? How do I post about this product? Who did that for you? And then we start getting inbounds, right? But now we get 27 new inbounds. We start talking with them. Well, what happens when they post? They might be much smaller than Anna, but now this person with 500,000 followers posts, and then they get 14 other influencers saying, hey, I want to post for that brand.
So it just started going viral.
Yeah.
Yeah, super smart.
Getting those first people is critical.
And so you got heavy into the influencer space, and then I started watching you go out and teaching people and speaking on a lot of stages. And I told you yesterday, I said, dude, your speaking capabilities are like world class now from just like a year ago because you're heavily
Practicing.
going around and speaking on all these stages now. Did you have any stage fright when you first started? Was there ever any hesitation?
I'd been speaking for 10 or 15 years before there was cameras, before there was social media, but never at scale, never like this, where this is getting out of hand how much I'm speaking. Back then, I'd already done 100, 200 events, but slowly. And I wasn't recording it. I didn't have videographers. I didn't have a team. I wasn't editing clips. Like, what happened was, about a year ago, I was spending tens of millions of dollars for a lot of the other authors and speakers on Instagram to make them famous. I never did it for myself. I still haven't bought any ads for myself, not a single one. But I was buying ads for all these guys, some of the most famous characters on social media, to make them famous, and then watching their lives completely change because now they have 2 million, 3 million, 5 million, 6 million followers, and they're household names in the game. And I didn't just start it, I ran with it and spending, to make them famous. But those millions of dollars translated to tens of millions and hundreds of millions of revenue for them. And so what happened was about a year and a half ago, I hired a CEO to help me run Elevator Studios. Much more high level of a CEO than I ever needed. Because he was the CEO of what's called Buena Murray, the largest reality TV show network.
Oh, yeah.
He was the first CEO. He did Real World and Simple Life. He created all these shows. Then he was a CEO for Dr. Phil. Then he ran $100 million budgets for Fox. Like, way too high level of a CEO for my size of a business. But I wanted him so that I could scale into him. Does that make sense? Like, I wanted somebody that big that I could get it big enough to make him care. And so when I brought him on, it allowed me to just not have to be at the office all the time anymore. Everything is run by group chats, and he can be the CEO now, not me.
So it freed up your time to go around and start taking on these speaking gigs?
Yeah.
Because you've done well over 200 of them now, right?
Yeah. But it allows us to get a lot of new clients, a lot of exposure, a lot of new interactions. And then when we throw live events, all the speakers are showing up. Like, you had an amazing event this weekend. You being out there and interacting with people makes people want to jump and fly, Andy flying cross country to come speak for you. That takes relationships and energy.
Which, by the way, thank you for speaking at Clever
I love
Summit.
it. It was fun.
An absolute
That was such a great crowd.
blast.
I think just being able to finally interact with everybody. When I'm going to speak at the events, I'm also making sure to interact with the other speakers and guests and people. And I think that brings in clients, relationships, and I don't want to call it clout, but like it builds like rapport with those people.
All right, drop us a comment with your thoughts on this one. And that's all we have for now. Thanks for hanging out with us. I'm Cody Sperber, the Clever Investor, signing off for now. Take care, comb your hair, and we're out.